The exact moment I realized my 15 years of dedicated service meant nothing to the company was when I walked into the main conference room for our quarterly evaluation and found someone else lounging in my leather chair. Her name was Chloe, the CEO nephew whose entire career consisted of social media branding and reviewing luxury items online. She looked up at me, flashed a fake smile, and casually informed me that the executive team had decided to move the firm in a fresher direction. Instead of causing a scene or breaking down in front of the board, I simply gave a polite nod and stepped back against the wall. I had given a decade and a half of my life to this institution, navigating regulatory audits, guiding young associates through complex financial calculations, and keeping operations running smoothly while corporate leadership relaxed on lavish vacations. Being treated like a total stranger in my own department stung deeply, but I knew reacting emotionally would only give my detractors the satisfaction they wanted. Chloe had been thrust into our firm under the guise of modernizing our digital brand, but everyone in the office recognized classical nepotism when they saw it. She was completely clueless about fundamental market dynamics and compliance procedures, yet she treated long-standing professionals like outdated office equipment. Our chief executive began parroting her shallow buzzwords, publicly claiming that the organization needed nimble thinkers rather than steady stewards. They gradually stripped away my duties and shuffled my workstation into a tiny windowless corner. Despite the obvious disrespect, I chose to stay put and observe everything quietly. I meticulously recorded every skipped compliance step, every misfiled transaction report, and every questionable initiative Chloe launched that violated basic financial regulations. I was not collecting evidence out of simple petty revenge, but because I understood that arrogance without accountability always leads to catastrophic failure. When I was abruptly left off the invitation for an upcoming executive strategy session, I knew they were preparing to push me out completely. Chloe quickly began taking credit for complex risk management models I had spent years building, presenting them to key partners as her own revolutionary AI strategies. Nobody in the meeting spoke up to defend my authorship, choosing instead to applaud her meaningless buzzwords. Shortly after that, internal whispers about structural layoffs started circulating down the hallways. My access to critical client management files was revoked without warning, and my name was quietly scrubbed from institutional records as if my entire career had never existed. When I confronted the chief executive about my missing responsibilities, he patronizingly told me that the company was transitioning from an era of careful stewardship to aggressive expansion. He callously described me as basic infrastructure while praising Chloe as the future voice of the firm. What he conveniently forgot was that 6 months earlier, during a major internal investigation, the board had officially voted to appoint me as the acting managing partner to maintain organizational integrity during our pending corporate merger. Over the weekend, I carefully examined my personal employment files and verified that my executive appointment had never been legally revoked or amended. Because our organization was in the middle of an intensive regulatory audit for the upcoming acquisition, my legal status as managing partner remained active in federal filings. Every contract Chloe had signed and every policy change she had authorized without my explicit approval was potentially invalid, leaving the entire firm sitting on a massive regulatory landmine. On Monday morning, my electronic keycard was suddenly deactivated at the front entrance security gate. A young guard escorted me upstairs, where I discovered that my nameplate had been removed and replaced with a flashy Creative Hub label. Chloe was sitting at my desk taking promotional photos for her social media accounts, completely unaware of the legal nightmare she was creating. 2 facility workers delivered a quick verbal notice that my services were no longer required, prompting me to surrender my badge without argument. I returned home, cleared off my dining room table, and systematically organized 15 years of documentation into a clear timeline. I cross-referenced every board minute, payroll update, and regulatory submission to confirm that my authority remained binding under federal guidelines. After verifying that no formal termination of my executive title existed, I reached out to a trusted acquaintance at the State Regulatory Bureau to confirm how unamended leadership designations impact high-stakes corporate mergers. Armed with absolute legal certainty, I drafted a precise and professional email directly to our chief legal counsel. I attached the official regulatory filings and politely asked him to clarify my ongoing status as acting managing partner, noting that no formal revocation had ever been processed. I made sure my tone remained entirely neutral, presenting the facts without anger or idle threats, knowing full well that an experienced corporate attorney would instantly grasp the devastating legal consequences. Within an hour of receiving my message, the chief legal counsel went completely silent, recognizing that months of corporate actions were now legally suspect. Meanwhile, Chloe proceeded with a lavish rebrand launch event, attempting to sell ridiculous digital collectibles to our highest net worth clients. When one of our oldest institutional investors received her nonsensical promotional pitch, he immediately contacted me in disbelief, threatening to withdraw his entire portfolio unless the firm restored professional leadership. During an urgent executive meeting regarding the pending acquisition, the lead attorney quietly handed his phone to the chief executive to display my active filing records. The room went completely silent as the executive leadership realized that my unrevoked authority rendered 6 months of Chloe's strategic decisions legally questionable. Panicked, the chief executive attempted to call my personal phone multiple times in rapid succession, hoping to force a quick settlement before regulatory agencies intervened. I deliberately declined his frantic incoming calls and calmly finalized my official letter of resignation. In the document, I formally dissolved my fiduciary responsibilities to the firm, citing unauthorized reassignment of executive control and serious compliance breaches. I sent the notice directly to internal legal counsel, the Merger Oversight Committee, and federal regulators, effectively locking all corporate accounts and bringing the multi-million-dollar deal to an absolute standstill. The fallout was swift and devastating for the leadership team. The acquiring firm officially terminated the deal due to severe governance failures, prompting our largest clients to transfer their capital to competing firms. Chloe was quietly stripped of her position and removed from all corporate channels, while the chief executive faced intense scrutiny from an angry board of directors. A competing firm quickly offered me an executive consulting role at double my previous compensation rate. When Chloe later sent me a message asking if I was satisfied with the outcome, I reminded her that usurping a position without understanding its underlying foundation is always a dangerous gamble. I closed my laptop, poured myself a warm drink, and enjoyed the peaceful silence of my home. Standing up for my worth without resorting to petty arguments had completely restored my peace of mind, proving that true professional authority relies on substance rather than superficial titles.